you for joining our June 15th Intermediate Planning webinar. Today we'll be going over preparing for headlands scenarios. I want to introduce myself. My name is Dan Ba. I'm one of the Precision Business Planning Specialists at AgSolver here. And we'll run through today's agenda. First is introduction. Next is identify zones on headlands that have reduction in profitability, return on investment, and overall yield. Select zones and work scenarios representing standard assumptions and associated costs. Select zones and work alternative management scenarios. Compare ROI on zones and scenarios. And then finally, we'll wrap up with questions. I also want to mention that we are in Q&A mode, so if you have any questions, please type your questions into the chat box below here, and we will answer these throughout our meeting. We'll hop into Profit Zone Manager here. So this is one of the farms that we operate, and this is the Davis home field. A little bit of background story on this field. There actually used to be a building site in the southwest corner here, about 2 acres, 2.5 acres. This is also where we load semis, so things like that. This is typically a seed corn field every 3 years, so this area is heavily compacted. And so due to the semis and grain carts, then also from the old building site, we have some buildings buried in there, old driveways, gravel, really low quality soil within this field. This field is roughly right around 110 acres. And here we're looking at 2015 yield data coupled with our 2015 soybean budget. And to run through that budget that we do have in place for this field, $11 soybeans, equipment, seed cost, fertilizer, herbicide, insecticide, insurance, interest on the operating note, handling and hauling, our land cost, labor, overhead, home, personal, custom hire, and then finally other. Just to give you a snapshot of this field. Typically, this field produces yields anywhere between 50 and 60 bushels. On the corn production side, if we loaded scenarios in here, the average yield on this field was right around 200 to 220 bushels. But in this extreme southwest corner, we have a hard time struggling to produce 25 or even 30 bushel soybeans. On the corn side, we look at this area right around 140 to 150 bushels. In 2015 for us, this area didn't even really produce anything, so we squared this off. And so it's a management problem that we have within this field. So the first scenario that we are going to be looking at is applying this to an alternative crop. So we'll come in, we'll call this oat production. We'll base it off of our actual production corn 2015. Actually, I should. So this was beans, but mislabeled. So come to our oat production. We'll add a zone. Select our zone drawing tools. And then we'll just place points around that area. Draw that zone again. And on this, we have looked at different options, whether it's from alternative crops to enrolling this area into a cover crop to provide a legume source for that next year of corn. It's in corn this year. So we pull up our budget. We'll name this zone oat crop. Average zone. This area for soybeans is right around 33 bushels or 30. And what we're going to do, we're going to take commodity price down to 0, but we're going to take other revenue from our oat crop and also selling the straw to a local dairy producer. And we came to a cost of, or an income of right around $550 to $600 an acre by the time we had it all sold. So we'll put 600. And then we also have other areas. We have an additional 10 acres. So the average income from all that was right around 550 to 600. We'll put in 600 for right now. On the equipment side, didn't have combine cost, grain cart. We had a planter, no-till drill. We no-tilled those oats. And from our no-till drill, I think we factored that on $4. Seed cost, around $35. We didn't apply any fertilizer, nor herbicide, insecticide. Insurance, we'll still leave that in there. Interest, that at 0. Handling and hauling, the buyer of the oats and straw actually picked that up. We're still going to leave land cost in there. Labor cost, we're going to drop that down to $10. Overhead home personal, custom hire. Custom hire was big for us. That was right around $150 an acre for them to cut and bale the straw. So what we can do, we'll come back and edit our budget. Edit our zone budget. We'll define an average zone yield. So on that zone where we don't have any yield data, we're actually able to produce right around $99 an acre revenue, or total zone profitability of 192 on that area. And for us, this was when we weren't producing any yield on that area, or very limited. We were actually losing quite a bit. Had a total zone loss of before negative $338. Now we're actually producing a little income. And then what we also did was, after we pulled the oat crop off, we came in and planted a very diverse cover crop mix to alleviate some of that compaction, but also to provide a nitrogen source. So we can come back up here to our seed cost and add an additional $30. So you could say our total seed cost was right around $65 an acre. But here we're looking at to provide a nitrogen source for our upcoming corn. So to build up that organic N within the soil, and then also moving forward, reduce our applied fertilizer on this area within the field. Another scenario that we looked at was, due to those deep compaction layers, what if we fight iron with iron and we look at a no-till subsoiler. So we'll come in, create another scenario. We'll label this subsoil tillage. Come in, add a zone. Label this subsoil tillage. We'll leave our expenses the same and increase our tillage rate to $16 an acre. We'll come up and project a yield increase due to running that subsoiler of 5% just to give us a target rate, or we can also define by zone average yield. So come up here, and instead of raising 33 bushels, what if we raise 45 bushels where we don't have any data on? Pre-populate that, so on that 19.2 acres, whereas before we're raising a zone average yield of 33 bushels, we increase that 45, projecting raise another increased yields by 10 bushels, 10 or 12 bushels. And with our increased in tillage, we're looking at not about a 13 to 20% decrease. We also decreased our profit loss substantially by about $120. Production efficiency went up about 20 bushels, but we're still losing that 117. We can go up and re-edit that budget. So, and maybe we could produce 50 bushels, or maybe we're going to only produce 35. You can buy average. We'll come up and compare different scenarios. And this is on a whole field scale. So by taking that acreage out of production, we didn't have that calculated within the field boundary here. You can see we actually increased return on investment by just a little bit. That expected about $100 to $160. Or if we're looking to buy a subsoiler, which would be about anywhere from a $6,000 to possibly $10,000 or $11,000 or even $12,000 capital investment on that field. And then we can run that across other acres within our operation too. So those were two quick and short examples how to manage headlands. I encourage you and anyone who is looking at scenarios, implementing scenarios within their own fields and wanting to be worked through Profit Zone Manager. You have my email and cell phone. My email is djba@agsolver.com, along with my cell phone number 319-238-1978. I also want to mention that this webinar will be posted on YouTube right afterwards. So you can go back and review the content within this webinar. I want to thank everyone for joining our June 15th Precision Business Planning webinar. If there isn't any questions, we will sign off. And so I want to thank everyone for joining and see you next week. Bye.